to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone on this sultry afternoon.
Nice to be in here where it's cool.
It is. Is there any comment or anybody from the public? No? Seeing none? What is the next thing? We have our action items. We have a light day today.
Light day today, yes. So we have the needs action items. I put a couple things in there, including my timesheet, and I put in, as I mentioned, the supplemental for the CMEDS program, $50,000 for the CMEDS. That would come out of our statutory reserve. If you would sign that, we can submit it to the Assembly of Delegates for their action today.
So people would know, what does the acronym CMEDS mean?
Honestly, I don't know. No.
I do. It's
Emergency dispatch.
it is. It's the medical. It's medical emergency dispatch, and I think it's the county. It doesn't say
community
or county medical
emergency
dispatch
service.
Yeah, we do have someone.
How much
from
money
the
is
public.
that? 50 or 15?
Well, if you recall the history,
We did.
The Cape Cod Hospital agreed to keep the CMED program running, to put up $50,000 for the period July 1st through October 1st. And there was a meeting at the base, quite a few weeks ago. Commissioner Lyons and Commissioner Flynn and I were at that meeting, and it was with the fire chiefs and the sheriff, and it was conducted by Senator O'Leary, and Senate President Murray's staff was there, and many of the Cape Cod delegation were there. And basically, we're trying to work out how we can keep the CMED program working. They have the state, I can't remember what state office is looking at.
It's the Department of Public Health.
Yeah, the DPH is looking at the CMED services statewide to see if they can figure out how to best offer this service statewide. And the issue came up that on October 1st, what's going to happen? And the answer was nobody was willing to step to the plate until Commissioner Lyons finally said, you know what, why don't we we'll offer to put up $50,000 to keep this thing running from October 1st through January 1st as an attempt is made to try to keep this operating on a long-term basis.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do.
And where we are now, as Pat has indicated, that the DPH is looking at this to see, do they want to consolidate the CMEDs, or how are they want to have a uniform structure? So that should be out in September sometime. Do you think?
I think.
Is what they were hoping that they would have those decisions end of August, September. So once we hear word from them, then we can convene with people and figure out a long-term solution to this.
Wow.
Yes, Mr. Doherty.
Where's the money coming from?
It will be out of the statutory reserve. As you know, every year we are allowed statutorily to set aside 10% of our county tax assessment, which we do. It's about $250,000 we set aside in a reserve for such emergency purposes, and it'll come out of that.
Okay, and then finally, is there any opportunity for reimbursement once DPH gets involved in this?
We haven't asked that question yet. We can certainly ask it. My guess is there will not be an opportunity for reimbursement, because I think any of the programs that are promulgated or any actions that are taken by the legislature to secure funding in some way, shape, or form will be forward-looking, probably not retrospective.
I still would ask that we at least ask the question.
Sure, that's certainly doable.
Is it possible to, well, I guess not, based on what you're saying, if we approved it but didn't execute it in terms of...
Well, it has to go through, like any supplemental ordinance, has to go through the Assembly. They have to approve it, and then it comes back for your final signature. So that's going to take, they have to hold a public hearing on it.
So by then we should probably have the DPH report.
I would certainly hope so.
And if we haven't signed it at that point, and there was another solution, we would have
Because it will be coming down to the end of September.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks. And
You want anything else?
Anything else?
I do have a couple of other things. Scott Nickerson has requested to use the courthouse on September 12th, 2009 from 1 to 2:30. He's doing a history tour of the building and a history lecture on Barnstable Village in the main session courtroom. And he is willing to open and close the building. Doesn't need any facility staff here. I offered facility staff if he wanted it. So I just need a vote of the commissioners to approve the use of that, of the court.
I'll move that.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, is that a Saturday or Sunday?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have my
What date
calendar.
is
But
it?
it must be
September
one of the
12th.
That's
I would say it's a Saturday.
Saturday.
I only have three other things to just draw to your attention. You should have received Barnstable County's AmeriCorps Cape Cod report to the community for 2008, 2009, so you should have that.
I did.
And you should have received a copy of the Treasurer's Report, which gives us a full perspective of the year-end 2008. Each of the accounts is listed in here, and you should have gotten one as well as the Assembly of Delegates.
8 or 9? 8?
Where are we in now? 2009. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Jeez, I'm losing my mind here.
Right. Well, we're still in 2000.
I apologize. 2009, year-end 2009. We're in 2010 fiscal year. And then finally, I received the report from the trial court on our statement of costs. All of our submitted costs were approved except one for 2000, and this is for 2008 actually. Do you want to guess which one?
Tell me, explain to me what this is.
This is basically the lease payment that we received from the state for the trial court's use of all of our buildings.
Okay.
And we submit all of these item by item down to the light bulb. The state actually does an audit every year. They're very thorough about this. All of the costs that we submitted were approved without any changes except for one, and that happened to be the administrative costs. The administrative cost is a funny one. So we submitted $68,647.50 for administrative costs for 2000. Actually, it was 2009, and they disallowed all of it. And
That's the second year in a row.
no, actually, last year they paid it.
Okay.
So
Is it every
the
year?
administrative costs is one of those where when they have the money, they pay it. When they don't have the money, they don't pay it.
Okay.
So apparently they don't have it.
This is like
So they don't have it.
facilities management and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and overhead, our overhead rate, all that. So everything
Does
but
that
the
include
administrative
utilities as well?
costs. Oh yeah, they pay for the utilities.
That's separate from the administrative?
That's separate from the administrative. Yeah, the utilities are submitted as a line item. And those
That's
are
actually our
reimbursed.
overhead support cost.
That's the overhead support
Yeah.
costs, essentially.
Is there anything else?
That's it for me.
Beth Alberts walked in here, and then she left. Was there a reason?
She's scheduled to talk about suicide prevention on the 2nd. I think.
Okay.
I don't know if she wanted, but she's definitely scheduled for the 2nd.
Did she have something she wanted to say here today, or did she just have that confused?
I don't know.
Okay. Maybe
I can't read Beth's mind.
Okay,
No.
I know. She came and left. I bet she didn't give anything. Okay.
Yeah, no, she's scheduled for September 2nd. Her and also Jack Mead's coming to give you an update on registry.
Unregistered, great. Okay.
I have a question on registries, if I may.
Yeah.
When Jeff Mead comes over, there is one question with regard to, in the aggregate, since we did raise the fee schedule, what is the collection activity?
I can tell you right now, actually, if you want to, because the Assembly's asked this question. So for July, on the county excise tax, we took in $531,009. And that is an increase of 15.3%. Sounds really good, from the same period last year. The trouble is we made an 18.4% increase in our. We went from, as you remember, $2.28 per thousand.
Oh, that's right.
To $2.70.
Right. So it's reflecting.
So actually, if you control for the increase, it's 2.6% below last year's activities.
Oh, really?
But that's why we raised it, because we
Yeah. Right.
Well, the net effect is that it was supposed to help us balance out our...
Of course it will,
Yeah.
because
And
it's
it will,
certainly a lot
because-
higher than it was last year. But if you just kind of look at how is the overall market doing from last
Right.
July to this July, it's actually a little bit slower.
I get it.
The issue that was raised as far as affect was that if we raised it, we'd kill the market. Certainly, if there's only a slight reduction in it, and it reflects the trend.
Bill, I would argue that the 270 per thousand, which is less than half of the total of the assessment when you go to the registry of deeds. Don't forget that the state gets $3.42 per thousand. I would say that the impact on whether a person transfers a property or not is negligible.
Well, and I think we all agree on that. But remember, that there is a perception issue, and I think that what I'm trying to emphasize here is that the perception of the size of the effect is less than the actual effect.
Right.
Yeah, I think the 2.6% that's a little bit slower than the previous period last year, I think you can trace to market factors rather than the imposition of an additional.
Absolutely. I think it is the economic times we are still in.
Where we are. Yeah.
That's right. Is there anything else? Do you have anything you would like to report, add, say? I don't believe I do either. So with that, yes, sir.
I was at a meeting at Renano of Babson graduates, and two of the people there are from Bourne, and we talked about their activities in biosolvers. And what I didn't realize is that they own the rail line. I did not know that, and that does have some potential effect as far as integrating their trash removal potential and integrating into what we've been talking about as far as solid waste activities. The other thing is that Phil Goddard, who's the assistant manager at the landfill, was talking about biosolids activities and using effluent from C&D waste as a method of both developing revenue and getting a fuel source up there. It was kind of exciting, and perhaps we should ask our was it a solid waste committee?
Yes.
That's who's doing that over at the commission now?
Well, I know Paul's been reporting on it.
Yeah.
It's Patty Daly.
Patty Daly.
Okay. We might ask her. And I have one other thing. There is a letter in the to read that talks about the outcome of the meeting with the housing directors. One of the things that I had gotten some feedback from my housing director that they were surprised when the Cape Cod Commission came in and presented a proposal that went from having the 8 that was originally proposed to having 15 towns integrated. They had thought that when they left that they were going to talk to them before they made that change. So the outcome of the meeting, I think, was conciliatory, as the correspondent says. But I thought that our sense as commissioners were that we had given the direction to the Cape Cod Commission that when we went to the housing, before they went to the housing directors with another proposal, they would seek their input first and then make a proposal. So anyway, I just wanted to report on that.
I do have something to mention because I think it's pretty interesting. There's a company in Bourne called the Hydro Corporation, and it's a spin-off of Hui. And Chris Van Alt from Falmouth is actually the owner of the company. And he has sold it, or they sort of merged, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how this exchange took place, but it is now owned by a company in Norway. It's called some Swedish word like KRO and something. Anyway, last night they want to expand their company, and the Falmouth EDIC bought property just a few years back, which was part of the Benthos property, the Benthos company. And there are big 3 lots at the top of the hill. And so they are considering purchasing those 3 lots and expanding the corporation in Falmouth. We think it's pretty cool. It's pretty great. So they had a meeting last night, and they had their board of directors there, and they had the president of that company in Norway with a couple of other people connected with the company, along with the EDIC and Chris Van Ropt and the RTDC, the Regional Technology Development Company, with Bob Curtis. And all of those people were together in the room, and the whole idea was to sell this to Norway. to help them really understand that that the park or the business park in Falmouth was a good place for them to expand their corporation. So it was a very positive meeting. It took place in Ballymead, and it was kind of pretty exciting to meet and talk with them. And they all speak English. I mean, obviously, with a Norwegian accent. But
they all teach all Northern Europeans English as a second language.
Yeah. So it looked and sounded pretty positive. So that's going to be really good for the Cape as well, because that kind of employment, is really what we're looking for. And we also talked about the open Cape and the broadband, and that is really a critical element.
Was anyone there from the commission?
Yeah, Paul was there.
Paul was there.
He was there. Because, that park, we had to, when I was chairman of the EDIC, we needed to have an additional development agreement with the Cape Cod Commission regarding those 3 lots at the top of the hill, because they're looking at building 40,000 square feet up there, which is a whole lot. And we had to get agreements around that property, so we worked with Paul and the commission to do that. And they, even in Norway, have that fear sort of culture that they have about you don't want to do business with the Cape Cod Commission. And so to be able to say to them that long before you came here and wanted to do this, we knew that this would happen, and we have these development agreements, and this project does not have to go to the Cape Cod Commission because of that development agreement. And Paul was able to talk about that. I was able to talk about it. And so it was really, really a good meeting, and it gives confidence to people when they come from another country to know. And
there are 2 other things that happened last week. One was Friday. I went to the annual meeting of the LC3, all Chambers of Commerce, and I felt it was a very positive meeting. They are organizing their response to coming up with what I call a policy of dealing with the Cape Cod Commission. They had decided that they were going to put together, at least on Friday, they were going to put together a letter to send to the Cape Cod Commission as to what they, how they felt they could work together, and I looked at that as being fairly positive. I was kind of disappointed in a way, though, because I thought that was the outcome of the meeting that they had before.
The one that we were at?
Yeah. So,
Bourne has financial development corporations similar to the EDCs and the EDICs around the Cape, and those are the groups that really should look to the commission to have and the town to have these agreements rather than the chamber. I mean, the chamber is obviously a player, like Jay Zavala was there from the Chamber of Commerce.
No, this was just an arrangement between the smaller
businesses.
The other thing is, perhaps you could speak a little bit about Duffy, because we did go to Duffy last Wednesday.
Yes, we did go to Duffy. Duffy Healthcare did invite some elected officials to come and meet with them about a new grant initiative that they have in terms of health care for the homeless. And this grant revolves around their three-legged stool, so to speak, of their, like a triage system of addressing people who are homeless and with addictions. And it really is cognitive behavioral counseling, some medication to help them deal with getting off whatever it is they're getting off with, and helping them find housing. And it's a very comprehensive plan. It is really the way to have a success. As we all know, you can get somebody into a house, you can get them housed, but if they still have their addictions and their habits and their lifestyle, it's not going to work. And vice versa. They're all concentric circles. So it's a very comprehensive plan. Duffy does an amazing job. They have a great staff, very dedicated. They know the issues. They know the Cape. They know the populations. They know what's. Unfortunately, for some people, they have to be somewhat homeless. But there's all those there's ways of doing that. And if they can do this for free, but if there are family members willing to come forward, they can do that billing as well, and they will help them get on the mass Medicaid and healthcare system. So it's very comprehensive. They do a great job. They have really done some great programs there. They have great nurses dealing with youth. So they got their finger on what's the potential catastrophe of drugs in the schools and where that is headed. And that is turning out to be more of a problem than we are acknowledging at this point. And it is feeling its effects all the way down to Nauset High School now, I'm aware of. So I'm very happy with that, and they were really able to speak with us as elected officials to tell us what they were doing, where they were going with this, and then we were invited across the street to have sort of a public unveiling of this program and initiative and introducing of staff. So I felt very honored to be there, that we were part of it, that we were part of that debriefing, so to speak. And Representative Demetrius Atsalis was there, as was Representative Sarah Peak. So it was very informative and good work for them. And also they're working so well and have so much to offer with our regional network on homelessness. I will report on that. We did meet with the state. They came down to do the evaluation on our structuring of the regional network to end homelessness, the grant that was put together by CAC, Duffy, help of the county, and HAC, and now the county is the convening agency. And quite frankly, they have, since we've become the convening agency, which was couple of months ago, a tremendous amount of work has been done. Alan Trevet is now their coordinator, and they were very impressed. And I think they were actually, the state's trying to figure out what it is they're trying to do. It's really like a bunch of regional networks are put in a petri dish, and they're trying to come up with the best practices that come from this. So mistakes are as important as successes out of this whole endeavor, because then you know what doesn't work. So it was a very positive, lots of people from the state were there, and very positive feedback I got afterwards. So I want to just give my congratulations and thanks not only to Beth Albert, who has probably put in more time than she knew this was going to be a big job, but much more time than she ever expected. Her staff, Bob Murray, for really leading this, and all the others, all the players have now seemed to really focus. They're not agency centric; they're really the issue centric, and it's really going very well. So there'll be more about that as we go forward. But so far, I think our evaluation's going well. We're on the right page.
The other thing I pat Beth on the back for is the summer food service program too.
Yes,
it's a tremendous success, and so that's always a project that is difficult to pull together. And she's cobbled together, I know, a number of grant sources. I know I saw a community foundation grant from a private foundation of $1,000, and every little bit helps for that program together. She's done a terrific job in that one as well. And
for a relatively new department head, she really has been able to integrate and co-partner with all the other departments where they can do that, with the RDO and with Bill Clark. And I have to say, and Beth, she is. People are singing her praises across the Cape, so she's doing a fabulous job, and an exhausting one. So we'll have to think about that in the future. So anyway, that's. And the other thing I wanted to say about going back to the commission, with Patty Daly, I thought that what she was going to do was give a report on what they were doing and then come to some sort of consensus of, because that grant had changed from its original RFP from Sheila Vanderhoff. And then she was going to, and then they decided that to really get a comprehensive look at housing, they were going to expand it across the Cape. And that wasn't really discussed with the input of those other housing authorities. So I just thought it was going to be a sharing of information and then coming to a decision. That was what my understanding was, that I was left with that day when she was here. So, but we can always look back at the record.
One other thing, there's a meeting on regionalization in Worcester.
Did we register for that?
Well, it's too late, because I knew I had the email from about 2 weeks ago, but I never got to it until this morning. And I called up there, and it's too late. It's actually full. But what they told me was, if you fill it out and get it up to them, you can be in line in case somebody besides
That they didn't show.
It'd be interesting going to the meeting.
Well, the other thing I thought was maybe we
Right.
could get that same group to hold that regional meeting here.
Why would we want to go to
I haven't
something on
seen that.
regionalization?
Oh, I should have brought it. Yeah,
You
yeah.
just forward when you get a chance. Just forward because
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
And there are several people from the state that are on it. And one is the person I was telling you about, DOR Local Services, that did the audit in Plymouth. He's the speaker at that.
So this is just a conference.
Huh? It's an all-day conference on
We
regionalization.
will,
and
I
frankly,
will forward that to you,
Yeah.
and if you could just,
We could sponsor
Fill it out.
it
Yeah.
for down here for.
you actually did send it to us, but it was an FYI about the date, but it didn't have all the details some
no, I
time
got all
ago.
the details.
Yeah, and then I got the details from Elizabeth Hughes.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's where it came from.
It came from Elizabeth Hughes, who sent it to everyone across the
Yeah.
Cape. All
And
municipal.
now, but it would be great if they would duplicate it.
Yeah, we could sponsor it.
Yeah, I mean, our regional government could sponsor it, like Franklin
Right.
County Regional Government.
Is
the
sponsoring.
regional government of what is it called, the Franklin County, or
Something like that.
Regional Services Hub?
We did have we did have people come down. We had Franklin County speak over the college.
Right.
We did have a regional conference.
This
That was
is really
through-
very specific about how to help regionalize services.
Municipalities.
Was any money attached to this? Or just
Oh, I
a
don't know.
conference
It was
about-
20.
I just
No,
tried to
I'm
get.
talking about
I tried to
if we went to this
enroll.
conference, would we
And it
be in
didn't.
line for getting?
No, it's
No,
just
it's just
information.
an educational.
It's an education. It's a workshop.
Yeah.
It's an all-day workshop from various people are speaking.
Yeah,
Can
I was
I
interested.
ask you folks to do the summary?
Yes.
And do it in-
I'll move the items.
You're all set with that?
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Great.
And just keep in mind you have to leave by about 3:15 or something.
If we want to go.
I'm planning
But-
on going.
Well, we'll
Are
see.
you going all together or something?
I'm not, yeah.
No? Oh,
We
to
get
get
there,
there
we get
by
there.
4.
You just have to get there,
Yeah. If we're not there, you can tell them that we're held up with something.
yeah. Okay, well, I'm on the agenda anyways.
So,
Are you going to bring that stuff down there?
I will need I'll ask you to two things. Record when you, if you're going to go into executive session, record when you adjourn. And bring the,
blue folder.
bring the supplemental 50,000 for the CMS.
Well, if it's signed, why
Well,
don't
sign
you
it.
just bring
Is
it?
it
Just in
signed?
case,
You wanna sign it,
because Pat's
Tom?
not going to get there. Why don't you sign that? Because
They want to hear about an update on the sheriff's bill, and they want to hear about the registry of deeds. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you. Don't eat too many clam fritters. I think that,
So you're going to go into executive session?
We are going into an
to
executive
discuss
session.
personnel matter?
yes, we are indeed.
So you need a roll call vote. You need to
I,
record the time.
I move we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters and not return to open session.
I second.
If I could suggest, I think actually the best portion of the law to cite for this would be a contract negotiation with non-union personnel.
Okay.
Okay, and that and provide in the vote that you were not going to return to open session.
I will restate the motion that we go into executive session for the purposes of contract negotiation with non-union personnel and not return to open session.
And withdraw my second and support the second statement.
Flynn, aye.
Very good.
Lion's eye.
Doherty, aye.
Thank you.